Hello everyone, I'm Roya. Welcome back. I talked about Ruby Red in an earlier video about the fact that it sort of seems like it's being marketed as more of a romance novel when there's actually like no romance in the book even. I didn't really even talk about the plot though, but guess what? I just finished Sapphire Blue, the second book in the series. The Ruby Red trilogy is about a girl named Gwyneth, who actually her name's Gwendolyn in the original German version apparently, but I don't know why they changed it. But Gwen's family has a time-traveling gene, and her cousin is thought to be a carrier of the gene and not her. When it turns out that it is her, she's kind of thrust into the whole thing totally blind because it's kept really under wraps, and the people thought to not have the gene are really kept on the outside. So Charlotte was prepared her whole life for having to travel through time and do all this stuff, and Gwyneth has not, and she's been kept totally on the outside. And it turns out that Gwyneth is the carrier of the gene and not Charlotte. And Charlotte's pretty mad about that, actually, so she's even more stuck up than she usually is, I guess. She and Gwen don't exactly get on, apparently. The thing that bothered me about the first book and the second one now is the fact that she spends this whole series really interested in this guy named Gideon, who is also a time traveler. He comes from the only other time traveling family. Like, the driest, most boring love interest ever. Like, seriously. I mean, I won't necessarily go as far as to say that he's like my least favorite main character love interest, but he's like really boring, completely devoid of personality. Like, we really know very little about him that doesn't have to do with his time traveling and whatnot. He's really one-track minded and all that stuff. But so little romance even happens in it at all that even when he in the second book he declares his love for Gwyneth, like, I don't even buy it. Their entire interest in each other could have been completely taken out of the book, completely, and they could have like just been friends or something, or not even that, and I would have thought, I would have felt the same way about the book, like the romance has so little to do with it that the plot could be completely without it, and it would flow the exact same way. In my earlier video about Ruby Red, I talked about the fact that despite being no romance in the book, except for like one time they kiss at the end, but that's it. He spends the whole time not even interested in her. The back of the book just says she wasn't expecting to travel through time or to lose her heart. And it's like, she doesn't lose her heart in that book. Like, give me a break. They have no, they barely even talk to each other. He's barely in the book. Like, thankfully, there was a little, this book had a little bit more to do with the fact that they seem to be pushing the romance in this book's marketing. The romance that barely exists. So even though I liked this book too, I think the first one was a little bit better. And there are actually a lot of really awesome characters in this book too. Just, not Gideon, and not really Gwen either. I mean, Gwen is actually a pretty okay character. But for instance, Gwen's friend Leslie is a really awesome character. She's actually, like, I kind of wish the book was about her just like finding out that her best friend is a time traveler. And I mean, there aren't that many female friendships in young adult novels, like all you see is kind of shallow friendships for the most part in a lot of like young adult fantasy. But this series so far, like the whole thing has shown a really tight friendship between Leslie and Gwen. Anyway, having not read the third one yet, I wanted to talk about this one before I read the third one, because I talked about the first one without having read this one. So naturally, when I read the third one pretty soon, I'm going to talk about that in a video as well. I'm not sure which one I really liked better, the first one or this one, but probably the first one, just because it had a little bit more action, a little bit more plot. This one has a lot more, oh no, Gideon doesn't love me in it, and it gets like a little bit old pretty fast. Overall, I mean, the series is pretty awesome so far. Okay, see you next time.